Hi, my name is Kathy. Welcome to Stories and Curiosities. This is a podcast about all kinds of fanciful stories, fairy tales, interesting little tidbits and curiosities that I've found interesting and that I hope will interest you. I think that today I will start by telling a Little Red Hen story. As some of you may already know, there are a great number of stories about Little Red Hen and the many things that she's done over the years. But for those listeners who have not heard or don't remember the story about the Little Red Hen, perhaps a recap is in order. The story about the Little Red Hen that most people are most familiar with describes how, one day, while foraging to feed her children, that is to say her chicks, an unusually thoughtful and hard-working Little Red Hen found, almost hidden beneath the torn corner of an empty burlap sack, a whole handful of wheat. My goodness, what a find! The Little Red Hen flapped her wings once and fluffled her feathers up, before quickly settling them back into place. Warily, she glanced all around, and even behind herself, to be sure that none of the other barnyard fowl had noticed her reaction to finding such a treasure. To her great relief, none had, which was a good thing. For, as much as I hate to say it, there were certainly some very greedy birds in that bunch who would have had no qualms whatsoever about squawking across the yard, shoving Little Red Hen right out of the way, and gobbling the seeds down for themselves. Little Red Hen's heart beat hard. She snuck a sideways glance at the little pile of seeds. A whole handful of grain. Why, it wasn't just 1 or 2 or even 3 or 5 grains of wheat. Goodness gracious, no! There were more seeds than Little Red Hen could count, which is not to say anything against Little Red Hen, because as we all know, counting is most certainly taught in chicken schools, and as we all know or should remember, the Little Red Hen did very well at school, graduating at the top of her grade, USDA, grade AAA. But although Little Red Hen may have graduated top of her class, and I must say her parents had never, ever been so proud as to watch her strut across that stage in her valedictorian cap, her glossy red feathers shining in the sun, her scroll tucked under her wing. Once Little Red Hen finally settled down to having a family of her own, which she had finally done after quite a few adventures, which really must be told at some other time. It had been quite some time since she'd had the opportunity to count anything much more than the number of chicks that she needed to keep track of. Because indeed, Little Red Hen had just about as many chicks as a Little Red Hen could take care of by herself. And hungry? There were so many mouths to feed. It was no wonder that the Little Red Hen in those days fell asleep practically instantly after tucking her chicks in around her safely each evening, as the sun finally sank beneath the hills each day. And so this discovery, a whole handful of grain, was quite a find. Little Red Hen cocked her head to the side, considering what to do with her newfound treasure. Normally, the Little Red Hen kept her chicks close around her as they foraged for food together each day. However, early that particular morning, the shadow of a hawk had been seen floating across the barnyard sand. That had been enough for Little Red Hen. She knew how hungry the hawk's chicks must be, and how delightfully delicious her own chicks must look to the mother hawk as well. As a result, Little Red Hen had sternly clucked her children back into the nest and told them to wait for her to bring something home for their supper. But now, should she call to her chicks to come out of the hutch and feast on the seeds with her? No, Little Red Hen decided she did not want to bring her chicks into possible danger, nor did she wish to draw attention to her find. So Little Red Hen gathered the seeds together in her shawl and tucked them into her basket to carry them back with her to her chicks, knowing that they would have a fine meal together that evening before the sun set. Then, being an unusually thoughtful chicken, Little Red Hen had an unusual thought. What if? What if? What if? What if, rather than simply taking the handful of seeds back to her children for them to eat tonight, what if? It occurred to her that if instead of eating the seeds today, she planted the seeds, much like the farmer did, and took care of the seeds, and weeded them, and watered them, and kept the insects away from them, that at the end of the season, each seed would grow into a plant, and each plant would have a whole handful of seeds on it. That would be, oh, so many seeds. Little Red Hen's mind spun at the idea. And goodness gracious, when they harvested all those wheat plants, they would have such a great harvest of wheat seeds that it would feed them for many days. Little Red Hen blinked and blinked again. She shivered at the idea. It was really quite a big idea for a little chicken like her. But like many big ideas, Little Red Hen suspected that this idea might be so big that she might not be able to do it alone. She might need some help to complete it. Surely, for a share of such a great treasure as the wheat would produce, she should be able to get some kind of help. Little Red Hen bobbled her head several times. Yes, she would be able to get help. She straightened her shoulders and picked up her basket and marched back across the barnyard. And as she carried her little basket back to her nest, the Little Red Hen thought to herself, "Oh, my goodness, really, my goodness, when I think about everything that this is going to take to accomplish, however shall I be able to do it? To till the field and then plant the seeds and cover all the seeds and keep them all watered and all weeded and free of pests? I do wonder, is it even possible for a little red hen like me to do such a thing? And so many things could go wrong. Oh," and her steps faltered and slowed almost to a stop. Perhaps, maybe she should simply feed the seeds to her chicks tonight. They would have a wonderful meal together. Tomorrow would be another day. And indeed it would be. Little Red Hen took a deep breath, preparing to sigh. But then she remembered what old Mr. Beaver, the carpenter who had taught woodshop back at her school, had always told them, his words whistling between his long teeth and even longer whiskers. Such long whiskers. With work, yes, youngsters, with work, hard work, and time, One can accomplish anything you plan if you have a plan. Little Red Hen nodded her head in agreement with the memory of the words of her old teacher. And indeed, I have to agree with the Little Red Hen. But that is also where I'll have to leave her for today, because I'm out of time. Regretfully, I don't have enough time left today to tell you exactly what happened next. But if you'll join me, I'll be happy to do so next time. Thank you for listening. I hope that you've enjoyed the show. Hope to hear you next time. Once again, this is Stories and Curiosities with Kathy.